for the most part, we're 19 days into 2024, and as you've kind of had a chance to visit here, there, and seems like everywhere, what are you seeing in 2024, Ron?
Hey, good stalling there, Bill, as I'm scrambling to navigate the slower pace of travel on the streets right now that I failed to factor in getting over here. And I like to be here in person. I like the sound quality better. Maybe just, call me an old radio guy or whatever. But
well, and you can react to looks. And, if Norm's staring at you and I'm giving you a smile, you don't know what to think. But for the most part, you've got good storylines, and we need to hear from you today.
Well, thanks. So we're here, beginning of the year, like we do every year, looking into our crystal ball.
What do you see?
To see what 24 is going to look like. Well, my quick overview, Bill, is it's going to be a great year. And, if you look back at the last 4 years, virtually every year for the last 4 years, we have had a cataclysmic event thrown at us, right?
I would agree.
Yeah. And how have we had to deal with those events? On the fly. It's not like somebody said, okay, in 9 months, there's going to be this pandemic. I mean, we had some initial signs, but, who could have ever seen that coming? We weren't prepared. So, what do? You react with the information that you have at the time. And we've been spending the last 3 years analyzing, overthinking.
Wondering if we're going to get it again.
Or, did we do it right? And what did we do wrong? And all of that, But what's the word we've been using for the last 3-4 years? Practically, not just us, but everybody. Pivot, because we've had so many things thrown at us. So after COVID, the supply chain crisis came next, and you combine that with kind of a labor crisis because it seemed like a sizable chunk of the workforce literally evaporated, and we still haven't recovered fully from that. 22 and 23 then introduced the results of some of the efforts of the previous couple years in terms of the huge spending and relief and things like that. At some point you got to pay the piper, and we've been paying it with high inflation, interest rates driven up to levels we haven't seen in 2 generations. So, man, that is a lot to get thrown at you, each year over the last 4 years. 2024. What else is left? What other cataclysmic events can you throw at us? And at the very least, I call it, what is the cataclysmic event du jour? Because it just seems like it's been, on a regular basis, we've been having these things. Now, we got an election year going on. So clearly, those are always interesting. And, it's interesting also that I used to always think that, the politicians are going to manipulate the variables in the economy, to make it look good, for their side or whatever. So election years are always kind of a pseudo
Who do you
economy.
believe?
Yeah. But interestingly, in the last 4 elections, economic conditions were actually weaker during an election year than a non-election year. So, at the very least, we've got stronger, haven't we? From the last 4 years?
Well, we hope.
Well, I mean, you get all that stuff thrown at you, you become more resilient. Would we want to repeat it? Of course not. But, as the old saying goes, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I don't mean any disrespect for the lives lost from COVID. But, we're just a lot tougher. So I think that positions us well for
more ready.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you get to feel like a boxer. It's like, okay, I'm looking to my left, I'm looking to my right. Ooh, where's that next knockout punch?
Where'd that haymaker come from?
Yeah. So, for all of those reasons, I think that we're going to have a good year, and this isn't just Ron's opinion. I've been paying attention to, watching a lot of podcasts, things like that. Get the big boys with the big guns and the economists that kind of looking at same things and saying, certainly there's elements of risk, but one of the biggest things that they say contributes to a strong economy, believe it or not, is consumer confidence. Think positive. How many times have we heard that? It applies to the economy as well. But Christmas spending was good. So
did that surprise you? We were hearing all kinds of things. People don't have the money, and then all of a sudden we're hearing, it was a good time during the Christmas season.
It's like the beginning of a sports season. You're just always kind of going in anticipation, like, well, what's it going to be like this year? And a lot of times, I truly didn't know. I just kind of didn't have an opinion. There was so many variables out there.
Did it affect your spending?
No. I mean, I'm in that category. I'm bullish on America. I'm bullish on Sioux Falls. I'm bullish on our economy. And given what we've had to deal with the last several years, how we've come out, because like I said, we're dealing with this all on the fly, and we just so, strongly want to succeed. We want to, have prosperity and success. And so, we've just pushed through and in a sense, almost, kind of forced the issue. But, jobs have largely remained strong, much to the chagrin of the economists trying to slow things down as far as the economy by jacking up interest rates and things like that. But we said, even in this labor crisis, jobs have, been strong. I mean, of course, the joke is, anybody can get a job anywhere, anytime, that they want, and still true. So, what are the risks for 24? Well, what I forgot to mention, one of the other positive things is we're expecting some rate cuts, potentially 3 to 4 cuts in 24. And this inflation, it's targeting at that 4% level. They wanted 2.5%, 3%, I think was the ideal target. But it's been coming down, but there are, there's still risks out there. The banking system, we've talked about financing has been a little tricky, certainly with interest rates. That just affects everybody, including banks. But small to mid-sized banks have a lot of commercial real estate on their books. That's not a bad thing. It just means that, lending has been brisk and property demand has been strong. But how a commercial real estate loan works is you don't get a 30-year locked rate like you do on a home purchase. You get basically a 3 to 5 year rate locked. And so, guess what? Some of those are coming due, and they have been coming due the last couple of years even. Myself, it was probably almost 2 years ago. One of mine came due. My interest rate doubled from 4.25% to 8.75%, over doubled, actually. So, you deal with it. But, some of these properties that have been structured rather tightly, from a financing standpoint, you double their payment, it might kill them, so that's still a risk out there, and it puts banks at risk, so some people are a little puckered up about that and worried about, banks. There's the national debt, 24 probably not going to impact us much more than it has the last, several years. But we got to keep our eye on that, man. I mean, we are on an unstable fiscal trajectory that in 25 years, if we don't start incorporating some big changes now, we're going to be in big trouble in 25 years. So, I shouldn't call that a risk for 24, but it's just something that we do need to keep our eye on, and we do need to make changes now. We've been kicking that can down the road, for so long. But this is a commercial real estate program. I've just been talking about kind of the macroeconomy stuff, which filters down to commercial real estate activity. But, in the categories of properties, office space, it's still struggling, but even that, the trend is moving a little bit away from remote working. My daughter that we just visited in Charlotte, she took a job that was a fully remote job. And guess what? They're now going to open an office in Charlotte. And she's like, oh my gosh, I should have figured that out before I bought a house, because it's going to be a bit of a travel, for her. But, that's just kind of a good, in my mind, trend that office workers are, going back to the office, at least somewhat. They're still kind of trying to figure that out, but this hybrid model you're seeing is becoming more and more common, where you're in 2-3 days, out 2 or 3 days. We're expecting, I don't know if a recovery in office is quite going to happen yet, but other categories, industrial, strong, retail, pretty strong. Talked about Christmas sales. And you know what? Bricks and mortar are realizing by retailers that it's an important part of our, mix, our retail strategy, oftentimes the most profitable. Because, face it, online shopping has its place, but it's kind of boring, and how many times have you got the wrong thing because you didn't look at the picture right or read all the specs? I'm kind of old school. I like that feel and touch and all that. I get frustrated when I go to a store, they don't have something and they say, just go to our website. Well, okay.
That's the last thing you want.
Well, I came to your stinking store,
Yeah,
and so
I'm here.
Yeah.
It's like you coming in to do the show.
Yeah.
Live, face to face.
But, that's part of this omni-channel strategy that most retailers are incorporating, saying, a lot of times people are ordering it online and then going into the store, or it can be shipped to the store. And so, retail continues to, I think, be pretty strong. Apartments and investment properties, we've talked about the strong demand for investment property. And, that continues. But I'm going to say it continues. There's good demand for properties that have properly calibrated their pricing. How's that to say you got to put the right number on it? And the problem with, some of these reactions that we had in these last 4 years is 21 and 22. And we've talked about it. Values were crazy. It's like people lost their minds, more in residential, during Tony's show. I love hearing him talking about, a house last 2-3 days on the market and it's got, 8 offers over asking price. We didn't see that as much in commercial, but we just saw a lot of valuations way high, selling for way higher than we thought, the underlying fundamentals, would really support, the sales price. So, it's not like the values were really there in 21, 22. It was a sugar high. It really was. And, so owners are chagrined sometimes that, my property's, it's gone down in value. Well, maybe it never really should have been at the value that you thought it was in 21 and 22. And I'm not saying it wasn't real. I mean, we were making deals at crazy levels, but urging people to recognize this isn't going to last forever and things are going to be adjusted. So they are adjusting, and we think 24 is going to be maybe that year that does get as back to, we don't even know what the word normal means anymore, but as close to normal as we've seen in quite a while. For, a lot of these reasons. And we're just crossing our fingers and hoping that crystal ball that we're looking into telling us this stuff is accurate. We'll see.
Ron Nelson, how do they reach you?
We're Nelson Commercial Real Estate. You can actually watch this program. Actually, not today's. I didn't get a chance to set it up, but we have a YouTube channel, Nelson Commercial Real Estate. You can always reach me just direct on the phone, 605-728-7600.
All right, we'll talk soon.